What if Michael Corleone had set the gun down and walked out of that restaurant? One trigger. That was all it took to turn a war hero into a killer. In the real film, Michael pulls it, twice, and the man who wanted nothing to do with the family becomes the coldest don of them all. But picture that cramped little Bronx restaurant, the gun already warm in his hand, Sollozzo still talking across the table. What if, in that moment, he simply couldn't do it? Remember the scene. Michael has agreed to a meeting with the man who tried to murder his father. Sollozzo sits across from him, calm and reasonable. Beside him is Captain McCluskey, the crooked cop whose fist already shattered Michael's jaw days before. A pistol waits taped behind a toilet down the hall. The entire plan rests on one quiet young man doing something he has never done in his life. Michael excuses himself. He finds the gun. He comes back to the table, a train screaming past the window, and he fires. That single act is the hinge of the whole story. It is the moment Michael stops being the golden son, the college boy, the war hero, the one Vito wanted kept clean, and becomes a man of blood. Everything after it flows from that choice. Sicily, the murders, the empire. Take it away and you do not just change a scene. You unmake the Don before he is ever born. So what happens to a family whose savior refuses to save it? Picture it differently. Michael returns from the hallway, the gun cold against his spine. He sits. He looks at Sollozzo's face and at McCluskey's, and something in him refuses. He leaves the weapon where it is. He talks instead, stalls, negotiates, plays the frightened kid they already believe him to be. When the meeting ends, he walks out into the New York night with clean hands and a whole conscience. This is where the story forks. Sonny is at home waiting for news of two dead men. Instead, his brother comes through the door pale and empty-handed. The rage is instant, and there is no undoing it. Sollozzo is alive. McCluskey is alive. And now they both know the Corleones lured them to a table and lost their nerve. The family looks weak for the first time in a generation. Worse, Michael has shown the Turk exactly how close he came, and Sollozzo is not a forgiving man. Here is the first thing Michael's mercy earns him. Sollozzo does not read restraint as strength. He reads it as an opening. Within days, a message arrives, not a threat, an invitation. The Turk wants the soft Corleone, the college boy who flinched, at his side. Join the narcotics deal, hand over the family's police protection, and live. Refuse and be buried with the rest. In the real film, Michael's bullets made him a man no one dared approach with an offer like that. Now he is exactly the man you approach. Clean hands, it turns out, are an address. So Michael says no, and by saying no a second time, he starts a war he has left the family too weak to win. But here is where the alternate path does something you do not expect. It starts to look like mercy might actually work. Because Michael is clean, no blood on his hands, no vendetta filed against his name, he can do the one thing his father never could from a hospital bed, and his brother never would in a rage. He can sit down at a table as an honest man and broker a peace. He calls the meeting himself. And they come. Barzini comes. Watch the scene. A long table in a shuttered restaurant, the heads of the 5 families around it, and in the middle a young man in a plain suit who has killed no one, asking only that the war end. Hands are shaken. Barzini smiles and calls him a reasonable man, a peacemaker, his father's better son. For one warm moment, it seems Michael was right all along, that you can walk out of that first restaurant and still save everyone. That warm moment is the trap. Because a peace brokered by a man with no gun behind him is not a peace. It is a head count. Barzini did not come to end the war. He came to see the whole Corleone leadership in one room, unguarded, trusting, smiling. He came to learn exactly how weak they were. And the very quality that let Michael call the meeting, that he was harmless, is the quality that makes the meeting a death sentence. The discarded thing, the willingness to kill, was never cruelty for its own sake. It was the only thing that had ever made a Corleone safe at a table. Michael set it down in that first restaurant, and now, at his own peace table, the bill comes due. Vito Corleone is still recovering, half destroyed by 5 bullets. In the real story, Michael's strike is what buys the old man the time to heal and reclaim his throne. Now there is no strike, and no throne to reclaim, Only a family that has just walked, smiling, into a room to be counted. Within weeks, Barzini moves. There is no cool-headed son with a plan in the dark, no one who has already crossed the line and knows the way back. Vito Corleone dies, not peacefully decades later among his tomatoes and his grandson, but now killed inside the fragile peace his son was so proud to have made. Let that sit for a moment. Michael kept his hands clean to stay worthy of his father, and it cost his father his life. With Vito gone, the empire has no head and no heir. Sonny rules on temper alone, and temper is a straight road to a toll booth ambush. In the real film, Michael's power is what avenges Sonny and holds the family together after him. Here, there is no such power waiting in the wings. Michael refused the crown. He has no soldiers, no fear, no name to make men hesitate. He marries Kay and reaches for the ordinary American life he always swore he wanted. But a Corleone cannot simply resign. The name is a target whether he carries it or not. The remaining families finish what the peace table began. One by one, the Corleone captains are turned or killed. Tessio does not even need to betray anyone. There is nothing left worth betraying. And Michael, watching the last of his family picked apart, finally understands what his refusal purchased. He could act now. But the moment for one clean, decisive stroke died years ago in a restaurant, with a gun he chose not to lift. Anything he does now comes from weakness, and it will cost 10 times what a single bullet once would have. There is no reckoning in this world, no settling of every score in an afternoon. There is only a quiet man at another graveside, always a season too late. So the Corleones fade, not in a blaze, but by erosion. Absorbed, outlived, forgotten, the way most powerful families actually end. Michael tries to hold the ordinary life together anyway, but it will not hold. Old friends stop returning his calls. The ones who do want a favor, he can no longer grant. Fredo drifts to other families for the protection his brother cannot give, and never quite comes home. Every dinner with Kay carries the shape of a question she has learned not to ask. Michael grows old in some other city under some other name, the war hero who came home and lost everyone in it. In the real ending, Michael sits in a dark study, powerful and damned, a door swinging shut on Kay's face. In this version, there is no door to close, because there is no empire behind it. Only a man who chose mercy and was left with nothing and no one to protect. And that is what this alternate path reveals about the film we know. We tell ourselves Michael's tragedy is that he chose to become a monster, that if he had only walked away, he could have stayed good and whole and happy. But The Godfather is crueler than that. It quietly insists that the family survived only because Michael was willing to be damned for it. His mercy was not a wrong turn spared. It was the price of everyone else's safety, left unpaid. Take the bullet out of his hand, and you do not save Michael Corleone. You only move the dying onto the people he loved. If the single way to protect the people you love is to lose the person you are, what do you set down on that table and what do you pick up? If you'd watch the whole thing again just for that ending, subscribe. A new film, Reimagined, is always waiting.